Please absorb whatever you can. Ask questions if you want. This is Majjhima Nikaya 44, Cūḻavedalla Sutta, the shorter series of questions and answers. Thus have I heard, on one occasion, the Blessed One was living at Rajagaha in Bamboo Grove, the squirrel's sanctuary. Then the lay follower Vishākha went to the bhikkhunī Dhammadinnā. Now there are two main characters in the suttas, Vishākha. One is Lady Vishākha and this is Vishākha, lay follower Vishākha. So it seems that they also have, or they had previously also, this kind of the naming where the male and female could be one, but they were identified like Lady Vishākha. So in India, if I believe correctly, in Punjab there is there, no? So there can be Rose Kaur and Rose Singh, and they can be the same name, but they can have just the designation. So this Vishākha is different from the Vishākha you will mostly hear, because that is Lady Vishākha. So this he went to meet bhikkhunī Dhammadinnā. So bhikkhunī Dhammadinnā in the lay life was his wife. So Vishākha was a businessman, but he was also a treasury of the king. Because if you are in the king's service, Buddha would not allow you to become a monk, because then the king would not have enough officers. So once he came home and he said that from now on we will live as brother and sister. I cannot live as a husband and wife. I had gone to Buddha for listening to his teaching, and I have become a non-returner. So non-returner is a designation where they have given up aversion and lust. So when they have given up aversion and lust, they cannot be a normal relationship as a husband and wife. So he said, but I will support you, whatever you want to do, you can do. Then she said, that is good. I also wanted to become a bhikkhunī. I have not become a bhikkhunī because of you. So give me permission. Then he gives him permission. So when she becomes a bhikkhunī, she becomes an arahant. So now he is come to ask and question her. Maybe he wants to kind of know certain things, or he wants to just check upon her. And after paying homage to her, he sat down at one side and asked her. So he paid proper respect as it should be paid to a monk. Lady, identity is said. What is called identity by the Blessed One? Friend Vishākha, these 5 aggregates, when affected by clinging, are called identity by the Blessed One. That is material form aggregate. Material form is the body which is there. When affected by clinging. The feeling aggregate. When affected by clinging. Feeling is when the contact is there is feeling. The perception aggregate when affected by clinging. The formations aggregate when affected by clinging. Formations is sankharas. So there can be bodily formation, verbal, mental. So Bhante used to kind of make it simple and say, maybe in our meditation, what can we experience as formations are thoughts. Okay, thoughts we can experience. So we can say formations. And the consciousness aggregate when affected by clinging. So all this become a problem when there is clinging to it. And they are not a problem when there is no clinging to it. So when you are giving up clinging, you are not getting rid of the body or the feeling or perception, formations or the consciousness. You are letting go of the attachment in that which is there. So these are the things why are when affected are called identity by the Blessed One. Saying, good lady, the lay follower Vishākha delighted and rejoiced in the bhikkhunī Dhammadinnā's word. Then he asked her a further question. Lady, origin of identity. Origin of identity is said. What is called origin of identity by the Blessed One? Friend Vishākha, it is craving which brings renewal of being. Is accompanied by delight and lust, and delights in this and that. That is craving for sensual pleasures, craving for being, and craving for non-being. This is called the origin of identity. So this was also mentioned in the last sutta, where they are examining the noble truths and the dependent origination both. Lady, cessation of identity. Cessation of identity is said. What is called the cessation of identity by the Blessed One? Friend Vaishaka, it is the remainderless fading away and ceasing, giving up, relinquishing, letting go, and rejecting of this same craving. So this craving which arises when you are letting it go, then you gave up the identity also. Till the time there is some identity which is there. So interestingly, the level which we called of non-returner, which is the third level of awakening, still there is a very small amount of identity which is there, which is called Dhimana. So that is the small amount of ego is still there at that point of time. Only a Arahant who is there, who will not have an identity. Lady, the way leading to the cessation of identity. The way leading to the cessation of identity is said. What is called the way leading to the cessation of identity by the Blessed One? Friend Vaishaka, it is just this Noble Eightfold Path, that is right view, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. So this, you see, this is the same formula which was used yesterday. Huh? So you see, what is identity? What is the origin of identity? What is the cessation of identity? And what is the path leading to the cessation? So this is the noble, the four noble truths are used over here also. Lady, is that clinging the same as these five aggregate when affected by clinging, or is the clinging something apart from the five aggregates when affected by clinging? So they are saying that clinging which is there and these aggregates are there, are they the one and the same thing? If you have body, you have clinging to the body. Is that the case? Friend Vaishaka, that clinging is neither the same as these five aggregates when affected by clinging, nor is the clinging something apart from the five aggregates when affected by clinging. So it is saying it is not the same, but without it also it is not there. So if you have the body, if you don't have say any kind of form, there is no clinging also. But without the means body, there is no manifestation of clinging also. So just because you have body, there is no clinging, and because there is no clinging, it does not mean that if the body is not there, clinging cannot be seen. So they cannot be said to be the this thing. So I'll read it once again. Friend Vaishaka, that clinging is neither the same as these five aggregated when affected by clinging, nor is clinging something apart. So without the body also you cannot say the clinging, apart from the five aggregates when affected by clinging. It is the desire and lust in regard to the five aggregates when affected by clinging, that is the clinging there. So it is when you have body, we want the body, we want to preserve the body, we want to kind of have the body. When there is a kind of feeling, we want to uh, be identified with the feeling. When there is a perception, we identify with our perception. Yes.
You say that identity is like a habit, like something that you get used to.
Correct. Very good. That is a very good way of saying that it is also an habit. And when we are able to let go by doing 6 hours, we are letting go of that habit. We are creating a new habit of not taking it personally. So it's a nice way of putting it. Lady, how does identity view come to be? So how does it come into existence? Here, friend Vaishaka, an untaught ordinary person who has no regard for noble ones and is unskilled and undisciplined in their dhamma, who has no regard for true men and is unskilled and undisciplined in their dhamma, regards material form as self. So what is the person doing? He is having a body, and this is me. And then there are certain other ways he can say, or self as possessed of material form. There is a self and it is possessed of material form, or material form as in self as in material form. He regards feeling and then perception and then formations and consciousness in the same way. So he somehow identifies with any of these things which are there. So if there are four ways of identifying, then there is 20 different ways of identifying with the aggregates which is there. So one note by Bhikkhu Bodhi is very kind of important. there are these 20 kinds of identity view. So he quotes a commentary to illustrate the four basic modes of identity view in regard to material form. One may regard material form as self in the way the flame of a burning oil lamp is identical with the color of the flame. So when there is a oil lamp is burning, the oil lamp and the flame can be identified because the color is there. That's the reason the flame is identified. So because of the flame and the color being the same, we identify as self. Or one may regard self as possessing of a material form, as a tree possesses a shadow. So there is one other way. A tree has a shadow. So then the shadow is considered to be the means the tree is possessing shadow, and that is how it is considered to be a self. Or the scent in a flower, or may regard self as in material form, as in a jewel in the casket. So there is one kind of way of looking at it is that there is a soul or something inside us, and we have an outreach here. So that is like a gel in the casket. The self is over here. So there is a different ways of having ideas about self, which is generated. Why is it generated? Because we are somehow there are certain ways of thinking, certain ways of experiencing, which can be limited, and because it is limited thinking and limited observation, they form those views. So this is more given in the Digha Nikaya. There are books also written on that, which is called Brahmajala Sutta. So that has a lot of information on how all these identity views are formed. Lady, how does identity view not come to be? Here, friend Vaishaka, a well-taught noble disciple who has regard for noble ones, and is skilled and disciplined in their Dhamma, who has regard for true men, and is skilled and disciplined in their Dhamma, does not regard material form as self, or self as possessed of material form, or material form as in self, or self as in material form. He does the same with the feeling, perception, sankharas, or the formations and the consciousness. So he does not regard any of those combinations and identifies with does not identify with any of it. This is how identity view does not come to be. So then you are not identifying with anything, then this view gets, as he pointed out, the habit which of our habit will change. So there is a changing habit happens. Lady, what is Noble Eightfold Path? Friend Veshaka, it is this same, that is right view, right intention, right speech, right action, right lifestyle or livelihood, right efforts or practice, right mindfulness, and right concentration or collectedness of the mind. Yes.
So the bottom line is like the Eightfold Path is the solution for everything.
Eightfold Path is a modality. So it is the way. So he is giving certain amount of uh, a kind of a pathway. So he says that okay, these are the things which is there. But one other way the Buddha is saying is you have the right view. Okay, if you have the right view, what would have your intention will be? You don't even have to have the volition to have the right intention, because your view is right. You can have the right intention because your intention is right. Your speech will be right, because if you have a right intention, then you don't even have to have a volition to have right speech. Your right speech will follow. If your speech is right, your right all actions will be right. If your actions are right, then your livelihood is right, or lifestyle is right. And if that is right, then your efforts which are there are right, or the practice which you are doing, or the 6 hours. Or if that is right, then mindfulness always will automatically become right. And if the mindfulness is right, you will go into samadhi. That is the concentration or the jhanas. So you will attain that without any. So if you start with the right view, you will end up with this thing, jhana. Huh? It is automatic. That is also one way of looking at it. So that yesterday I talked about the 7 factors of awakening. So Buddha is talking about the same thing. if you have mindfulness, so when you sit in meditation, you are mindful, okay, how this mind's attention is moving here to there. Then that investigation happen automatically. Are you restless? You know, if you are sleepy or having certain trouble, you know. So there is balance of energy happens automatically. So there is mindfulness is that. Second part is investigation. Now third part is energy. Energy is automatically balanced. If you are restless, what you do? You relax. Okay, you're sleeping. You put in a little bit energy. So that balance happens, and that balance of energy is there. Joy automatically arises. You don't have to do anything for joy arising. Joy arises. When joy is there, tranquility is there. If your mind has joy, then body becomes tranquil. When the tranquility is there, what would happen is your collected of mind, you go directly into jhanas automatically. You don't have to say anything to kind of go into jhanas. You find yourself in jhana. When you are in jhanas, eventually you reach equanimity. So that all step is reaching one by other. So if you start with just the mindfulness, also you reach the equanimity. If you start with right view, also you reach the jhanas. So that is how the one other way of looking at it. So this encouragement that you don't have to say, oh, I have to do 8 things and I have done 5 and this 3 are remaining. But if you start with the right process, then other process will develop as you go along. Lady, what is the Eightfold Path? Lady, is the a Noble Eightfold Path conditioned or unconditioned? Friend Vaishaka, the Noble Eightfold Path is conditioned. So the only unconditioned in the Buddha's teaching is the Nibbana, the place where you are giving up everything. That mind state, that is the only unconditioned. Unconditioned means that one way I understand is, maybe it is my own way of thinking is, I was interested in quantum physics. So they say that when the quantum physics, they go deeper and deeper. So when I was in school, atom was actually taught as the smallest thing in the universe. You know, the everything is made of atoms. Then they had this collider in Syrian or something like that in Europe. They made a collider, and then they say, oh, there are 107 kind of parts of this atom, and then say, no, there are unlimited amount of things which you can go. We can go deeper. Then quantum physics said that there is, you can go deeper and deeper and deeper, and there is Planck scale. So now this Planck scale is the smallest undivisible part of the universe which is there. So I kind of imagine the unconditioned as this Planck scale. You know, that is where, so everything from there, if it vibrates in different manner, it becomes different elements or something like that. So I can kind of imagine it in that sense, that the unconditioned thing is like that, without any vibrations, with anything which is, but anything else in the world is conditioned. So even the Eightfold Path is conditioned. So it has been made as a tool. It's a means to an end. So like we were talking about the raft. So the raft, it is a means to an end. So Eightfold Path is also a means to an end. So that is the reason it is conditioned. Lady, are there three aggregates included by the Noble Eightfold Path, or the Noble Eightfold Path included by the three aggregates? Now, three aggregates are not these aggregates. This is the Noble Eightfold Path is also Sila Samadhi Supanya. So they are into the kind of the precepts, the concentration, and the wisdom. So their Eightfold Path has three sets also. So that is the Eightfold Path bigger, or these three sets are bigger? That is what the question is there. So she says that it is the three sets are bigger, and it includes the Eightfold Path. But Eightfold Path has those elements of this three, but the three sets which are there, which is the Sila precepts which are there, Samadhi, which is the concentration, and the wisdom part. Wisdom part are in the three aggregates which are there. So Eightfold Path is included in that. So that is what she says. The three aggregates are not included by the Noble Eightfold Path, friend Vaishaka, but the Noble Eightfold Path is included by the three aggregates: right speech, right action, and right livelihood. These states are included in the aggregate of virtue or precepts. So you see that all these things are precepts. I had pointed out that speech which is there is a part of the precepts which are there. Action which is there is a part of the precept, which is not to kill, not to steal, not to be unfaithful. So those are the things which are there, which is in the action. And then right livelihood is also included. Right livelihood is like not dealing with weapons, poisons, and all those things. So this is the virtue. Right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. So right effort is 6R is there, mindfulness is there, and then the samadhi or jhanas are there. That are the part of the concentration. So right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. Right. These states are included in the aggregate of concentration. Right view and right intention. Okay. These states are included in the aggregate of wisdom. So right view and right intention is a part of wisdom. So you should have wisdom to start off also. The process of gaining wisdom is also started with a wisdom. Okay, like we make curds over here in India, so we put a little bit curds in the milk. So to start to make a milk, also you should have some curds. Sometimes my mother used to, when I was so small, used to say, "Go and get curds." I said, "Oh, why don't you make it at home?" So she said, "For making at home only, I want curds to be you go out." So for starting the process of wisdom also requires a little bit of wisdom to start with. Lady, what is concentration? What is the basis of concentration? What is the equipment of concentration? What is the development of concentration? So by teacher like to word collectedness, or our ability to stay on anything we put our mind to. Unification of mind, friend, Vaishaka, is concentration. So our all faculties can be put on certain task. So this task can be any of the object of meditation which we are doing. So our ability for our senses and our collected consciousness or attention can be there. So that is unification of mind. Friend is concentration. The four foundations of mindfulness are the basis of concentration. So the things which are aware of the body, feeling, mind, and mind objects or phenomena. So all of this, when we are aware of, we are having the equipment of four. That is the four foundations of mindfulness. The four right kinds of striving are the equipment. Those four right efforts or 6 R's is the equipment. So that is the what we are using in our practice. So don't allow the unwholesome to come in the mind. If it is there, you recognize it, and then release if there is unwholesome in the mind. So if you have got distracted, you release it. Bring up something wholesome. So you relax, smile, and then come back to your object of meditation, and then you increase it. So you keep repeating till you increase this whatever has arisen, which is wholesome. The repetition, development, and cultivation of these states is the development of concentration. So now what is the thing is repetition. So we have to repeat again and again. Sometimes we have to repeat 10,000 times, maybe 10 million times also. But that repetition will give you us more and more understanding. That repetition is a part of it. Then it is development. So how you develop that practice? So you keep repeating, you develop the practice, and cultivation. So cultivation I like because the cultivation in the sense that how I imagine it is like when there is a field is there, the cultivation, you create the ground for it. Then you put in the seeds. Then you have patience, you feed it. And then when the time is right, you will get the fruits. It is not that something you can instantly withdraw from like ATM, you can withdraw the money. That is not the case. When you cultivate something, you have to have to create the ground, put in the seeds, put in the water, put in the fertilizer, give it enough time. I told you that doha, धीरे धीरे रेमना धीरे सब कुछ होए. माली सींचे 100 घड़ा ऋतु आए फल होए. So everything happens slowly, and when the season is right, only we will get the fruits. So that's the way I see this word as cultivation as very important. of the same states is the development of the concentration. So when you keep on repeating, developing, and cultivating, then it is these states are the development of the concentration. Lady, how many formations are there? There are these three. There are these three formations, friend: bodily formations, verbal formation, and mental formations. But lady, what is the bodily formation? What is the verbal formation? What is the mental formation? In breathing and out breathing, friend Vaishaka, are the bodily formation. Thinking and examining thought. One other translation Bhikkhunī does, the Bhikkhunī's translation is applied thought and sustained thought, which is the initial thought and the thought which sustains. So, Bante, my teacher translated thinking and examining thought. Are verbal formation. Perception and feeling are mental formation. So whatever we perceive, whatever we feel, those are felt in the mind. But lady, why are in breathing and out breathing the bodily formation? Why are thinking and examining thought the verbal formation? Why is perception and feeling the mental formation? Friend Vaishaka, in breathing and out breathing are bodily. So when we breathe in and out, it is related to body. That's the reason it is a bodily formation. First one applies thought and sustains thoughts, and subsequently one breaks out in speech. So when there is thinking and examining, so what is happening when we think and when we kind of go into this thought, then we kind of say something. So you say you see a very beautiful scene or something like that, then you are thinking about how beautiful it is in the mind. Then you, if your friend is there, you say, oh, how beautiful is the sun. Or that is how our speech happens. First, it happens in the mind, and then it happens in the verbal. So that's the reason that is a part of the verbal formations. Perception and feeling are mental. These states bound up with the mind. That is why perception, feeling are mental phenomena. So all of these are happening in the mind. Mind is like the CPU. So all senses, it handles the perception and feeling of all of them. Lady, how does the attainment of the cessation of perception and feeling come to be? So in the 111, we saw that when Sariputta went ahead, after the neither perception or non-perception, he experienced a cessation of perception and feeling. We can also say cessation of perception, feeling, and consciousness, because consciousness is also there. So that time we are saying that this person is not conscious totally. Friend Vaishaka, when a student is attaining the cessation of perception and feeling, it does not occur to him, I shall attain the cessation of perception and feeling. So you do not have a prior warning, okay, that this is going to happen. Or I am attaining the cessation of perception and feeling. Or when it is happening, you are going into that. That time also they don't have any idea that I am now going into cessation of perception and feeling. Or I have attained the cessation of perception. So when he is in cessation of perception and feeling, he does not have that I have attained the cessation of perception. He has no idea. But rather his mind has previously been developed in such a way that it leads to that state. So now this has two meanings. He has prepared his mind in a way that it leads to that. One is that your causes and conditions, which is called the managing of the seven factors of awakening. We told about the mindfulness, investigation, joy, energy, joy, tranquility, mindful, there's collectedness and equanimity. That is balanced. When that is balanced, then you can automatically grow. Like Sariputta had been in either perception, non-perception, his mind was ready and it was happened. Now the second meaning it can be said is, if you have already attained anagami status or a arhan status, then on you can determine to go into this state. You can say, I want to go into this state and stay there for X amount of time, and then you can stay there. Like Deepama, it is said to stay there for 6 days, and for anybody 7 days it is possible to stay in that state. If he is a arahant or a anagami, they can stay for 7 days. So that is the meaning that previously the mind has been prepared for it. Friend Vaishaka, when a student is attaining the cessation of perception and feeling, first the lady, when a student is attaining the cessation of perception and feeling, which state sees first in him? the bodily formation, verbal formation, or mental formation. Friend Vaishaka, when a student is attaining the cessation of perception and feeling, first the verbal formation ceases. So one way of looking at it is that when you are practicing, in the first jhana there is thinking and examining thought, but in the second jhana there is no thinking and examining thought. So that verbalization ceases in that process. Then the bodily formation. Then what happens is you are going into the arupa jhana. You are giving up the perception of the body. So now from that you are going to the arupa jhana, four jhanas, arupa jhanas. Then the mental formation. Now mental formation, why it ceases? Even in neither perception or non-perception, mental formation is there. There is something which is happening. But when you go into cessation, there is no mental formations because there is no consciousness. So that is how this happens. Lady, how does emergence from the attainment of cessation of perception and feeling come to be? Friend Vaishaka, when a student is emerging from the attainment of cessation of perception and feeling, it does not occur to him, I shall emerge from the attainment of the cessation of perception and feeling. So he does not know before coming out that I am going to come out. Okay? Or I am emerging from the attainment of cessation of perception and feeling. So when it is coming out, also he is not aware. Or I have emerged from the attainment of cessation of perception and feeling. So when he comes out also he does not know, but after the fact, but rather his mind has previously been developed in such a way that it leads him to that state. So when he is going into that process without any determination, then he comes out of this process also based on the causes and condition. But if he goes into with the determination, he comes out based on the determination. So based on, say, if he say I want to be there for 1 hour, then after 1 hour he comes out of this state because it has been previously uh, kind of developed. Lady, when a student is emerging from the attainment of cessation and perception and feeling, which states arise first in him? Bodily formation, verbal formation, or mental formation? So when he comes up, how does it reboot? So when he is going in, first he gives up verbal, then body, then mental. How does it come back? Friend Vaishaka, when a student is emerging from the attainment of the cessation of perception and feeling, first the mental formation comes. So it's a reverse order. Mental formation arises, then the bodily formations, then the verbal formation. Lady, when a student has emerged from the attainment of the cessation of perception and feeling, how many kinds of contact touch him? So there is some contacts which happen. What are the first things which he experiences? Friend Vaishaka, when a student has emerged from the attainment of the cessation of perception and feeling, three kinds of contact touch him. Voidness contact, signless contact, desireless contact. So the one is desireless is very important. So he has no kind of wanting which is there when he comes out of this experience. He has no wanting. Then he has void. So that is what we discussed there, the voidness which is there. Signless is also the very similar to the voidness. Okay, signless and voidness are difficult, but voidness and signless have different practices in that sense. So how you kind of go into that stage has a different practice. So different work you have to do to go into that. But that attainment which is there, when you come out of that, that experience you get. Yes.
Like to say that the material world has no more sense, no? When you come back from the state.
Coming back. When
Like,
coming back.
the material world has no sense. You come back. Makes no sense.
No, no. What you said, I can't confirm.
When you come back from that state,
Huh?
like to say that the material world
Material world. Huh?
has no more sense, has no sense when you come back.
You have sense of that, but there is no desire for that. No desire for anything. So that kind of mind is pure in that sense.
Makes no sense.
It makes more sense in that sense. So now you can make sense of everything, you know. So, lady, when a student has emerged from the attainment of the cessation of perception and feeling, to what does his mind incline to? What does it lean to? What does it tend to? So, how does where is his mind going? Okay, where is it leaning after he has the cessation experience? Friend Vaishaka, when a student has emerged from the attainment of cessation of perception and feeling, his mind inclines to seclusion. leans to seclusion, tends to seclusion. So he wants to be alone, you know. He wants to go into a cave or a practice. Like Buddha himself is said to have sat in below a tree and meditated for 7 days. Okay, so that is how the mind becomes. It wants to kind of be alone and kind of experience this feeling. Lady, how many kinds of feeling are there? So this is a very exhaustive thing, but it has a kind of importance because feelings are something which is fundamental to what happens in the meditation also, you know. So when there is the basic feelings which are said to be is the pleasant feeling, the unpleasant feeling, and the neither pleasant nor unpleasant. So that is what are the basics which are there. But sometimes the Buddha is teaching only two feelings. That is the pleasant and unpleasant. But sometimes he teaches in six ways. That is the eye feeling, ear feeling, nose feeling. So he's teaching in many different ways. So there's one sutta where he goes on to classify to 108, no, 108, no, 108 feelings. So that is sometimes he does. So we are going through this feeling and how that we can understand this feeling. Friend Vaishaka, there are three kinds of feeling: pleasant feeling, painful feeling, neither painful nor pleasant feeling. But lady, what is pleasant feeling? What is painful feeling? What is neither painful nor pleasant feeling? Friend Vaishaka, whatever is felt bodily or mentally as pleasant, soothing is pleasant feeling. Whatever is felt bodily or mentally, yes, you said no. Whatever is felt bodily or mentally as painful and hurting is painful feeling. Whatever is felt bodily or mentally as neither soothing nor hurting is neither painful nor pleasant. That is very straightforward. Everybody understands that there is no kind of trick question. This is as it is. Lady, what is pleasant and what is painful in regard to pleasant feeling? What is painful and what is pleasant in regard to painful feeling? What is pleasant and what is painful in regard to neither painful nor pleasant feeling? So that every feeling has positive, negative in that sense. Okay. So how is that? Friend Vaishaka, pleasant feeling is pleasant when it persists. So when you are experiencing a pleasant feeling, when till the time it is there, you feel nice. Painful when it, feeling it persists, and painful when it changes. So when you are having a pleasant feeling and it changes, then it is painful. So if you are having, say, nice massage and they say, oh, time is up, now get up. So now then you feel a little bit pain, no? Then you have to pay also, that is another pain. Double dukkha. So that is what as long as this painful feeling is there, present feeling is there, it is but when it changes, then it becomes painful. Painful feeling is painful when it persists, pleasant when it changes. So say sometimes you have headache and you are not aware of head 99% of the time. You don't think about the head, don't worry about the head. But when there is headache, you are always your attention is where in the head. But say you take a nap or something and get up and see there is no head, you feel so nice, no? When the headache goes, so that headache was painful when the headache was there, the pain was there. When it changes, it felt nice. But in normal 99%, you are not aware of the body itself. Where are you? You are in your mind. Or when my teacher used to kind of stub his toes a lot. He was a long person, so he stayed in forest for a long time. So he said that whenever I stub my toe, then I say, oh, I remember this toe. Or till that time, you are not even aware of the toe or the body. So you are always in your mind, in your thinking. So when the painful becomes pleasant, then when it changes, then it is pleasant. Neither painful nor pleasant feeling is pleasant when there is knowledge of it, and painful when there is no knowledge of it. So this is very important to kind of examine. So now, what is knowledge? What is not knowledge? We will go in other place which is mentioned. So I'm not clarifying. Just think about it. Okay, what is knowledge and what is not knowledge about neither painful nor pleasant feeling. Okay, one of the ways we can experience without knowledge is when we are just sitting in a bus and traveling, and when you see, oh, this 1 hour has passed, but we are not aware of it. It is not painful also, not pleasant also. Okay, there's no aware. So I will go through that also. Lady, what underlying tendency underlines pleasant feeling? What underlying tendency underlines painful feeling? What underlying tendency underlines painful feeling? Friend Vaishaka, the underlying tendency of to lust underlines pleasant feeling. When you have pleasant feeling, you want more and more. The underlying tendency to aversion and underlines painful feeling. When you have painful feeling, you want to stop it. The underlying tendency to ignorance underlines neither painful nor pleasant feeling. So normally, neither painful nor pleasant feeling when we are experiencing, we are not aware. There is ignorance in it. Lady, does the underlying tendency to lust underline all pleasant feeling? Does the underlying tendency to aversion underline all painful feeling? Does the underlying tendency to ignorance underline all neither painful nor pleasant feeling? Friend Vaishaka, the underlying tendency to lust does not underline all pleasant feeling. The underlying tendency to aversion does not underline all painful feeling. The underlying tendency to ignorance does not underline all neither painful nor pleasant feeling. So no, there are certain feelings which are there, has some exceptions are there. Lady, what should be abandoned in regard to pleasant feeling? What should be abandoned in regard to painful feeling? What should be abandoned in regard to neither painful nor pleasant feeling? So when those feelings are there, what are the things which you are letting go? Friend Vaishaka, the underlying tendency to lust should be abandoned in regard to pleasant feeling. The underlying tendency to aversion should be abandoned in regard to painful feeling. The underlying tendency to ignorance should be abandoned in regard to neither painful nor pleasant feeling. Lady, does the underlying tendency to lust have to be abandoned in regard to all pleasant feeling or the painful feeling and neither painful nor pleasant feeling? Friend Vaishaka, the underlying tendency to lust does not have to be abandoned in regard to all pleasant feeling. The underlying tendency to aversion does not have to be abandoned in regard to all painful feeling. The underlying tendency to ignorance does not have to be abandoned in regard to all neither painful nor pleasant feeling. So those are the exceptions are there. Here, friend Vaishaka, quite secluded from sensual pleasure, secluded from unwholesome states, a student enters upon and abides in the first jhana, which is accompanied by thinking and examining thought, which has joy and happiness born of seclusion. With that, he abandons lust, and the underlying tendency to lust does not underline that. So when you are in a jhana, the joy and happiness you are feeling is with the abandoning of the five hindrances, because it is there. There you don't have to underline. This is not underlying with lust. Okay, so this is a pure state. That's the reason one of the other way of saying is you should not be afraid of that states. Even if you get attached to that, you are getting attached to something superior. Okay, if you get stuck over there, you are getting stuck in something which is superior. Okay, so there is no harm which is possible over there. It may delay your progress, but that is also okay. If you gain more understanding of that, also your mind is developing, and you will not have that addiction as you would have for something of the substances which you have. No, there are many substances like coffee is there, tea is there. There is a lot of the things. Coke. My cousin, when I used to stay briefly in my native place in Gujarat, I was there in a very kind of small town. My cousin had come, so I want to have Pepsi. So I said, there is nothing, no shop over here. No, no, I want to have. So, we had to walk about 2 or 3 kilometers to get him Pepsi, because he had to have Pepsi every day. So that is addiction which we have, substances. But that kind of addiction is not possible in the things which are lacking lust. So you should not be afraid of the jhanic, any pleasure you face over there. Here a student considers thus. Here a student considers thus, when shall I enter upon and abide in the base of the noble ones? Now enter upon and abide in. In one thus generates a longing for the supreme liberation. Grief arises. With that longing as condition, with that he abandons aversion, and the underlying tendency to aversion does not underline that. So there is a kind of a desire to progress also, and I want to progress, I want to go to this jhana, or I want to be like Sariputta, or I want to be like Moglana, or something like that. A desire may arise. that may have some painful thing, because there is a amount of grief which is there, but that does not have aversion in it. There is a wholesome desire which you are having, and in a direction which is wholesome. So that's the reason there is no underlying aversion which is there to abandon over there. Here, with the abandoning of pleasure and pain, with the previous disappearance of joy and grief, a student enters upon and abides in the fourth jhana, which has neither painful nor pleasant, and purity of mindfulness due to equanimity. So here also there is neither painful nor pleasant, and there is pure of mindfulness due to equanimity. So the mindfulness is pure and over present. So mindfulness means the awareness is there. With that, he abandons ignorance, and the underlying tendency to ignorance does not underline that. So at that time he is aware. So this state of mind, when you are going into fourth jhana and are in equanimity, then there is neither painful nor pleasant, but there is no ignorance over there because your awareness is there. Thus, there is nothing to abandon over here. The ignorance does not have to be abandoned, and that you can see that there can be neither painful nor pleasant feeling with ignorance, like in sitting in a bus and not having awareness of time. But over here, if you are there in the same bus but fully mindful, and maybe in the fourth jhana you are sitting and in equanimity, so you will be having the journey with the same amount of non-pain or nor pleasure, but you will have full awareness of that journey. One of the things one of the monks long back had said is, when you are going out and want to see how mindful you have been, say stay for 1 hour 2 hours doing your chores which you are doing, like cleaning and whatever, we have to do some chores and tasks. Then you come back to your kuti, sit and see back every step of the way, and you will be, wherever you are mindful, you will be able to remember that steps. Wherever you have lost mindfulness, you will have gaps in that memory. So that is how mindfulness can be so illuminating also. So that was like a practice for mindfulness which I had done. So that is gives an indication of that. Lady, what is the counterpart of pleasant feeling? So his counterpart can be opposite, or it can be something which is helping, supplementing. Okay, so this is what the clarification Bhikkhu is giving is, counterpart could be opposite or something which is supporting or supplementing the point. So they ask, what is the counterpart of pleasant feeling? Friend Vaishakha, painful feeling is the counterpart of pleasant feeling. What is the counterpart of painful feeling? Pleasant feeling is the counterpart of painful feeling. What is the counterpart of neither painful nor pleasant feeling? Ignorance is the counterpart of neither painful nor pleasant feeling. What is the counterpart of ignorance? True knowledge. So, true knowledge, when there is that, there is no ignorance. So, that is the counterpart. What is the counterpart of true knowledge? Deliverance is the counterpart of true knowledge. Deliverance is to get rid of all what is you are attached to, or you can say you are delivering from this cycle of samsara, where you are going in this merry-go-round, round. Now you have a ticket to jump off the merry-go-round. Okay. So now you are that is the counterpart. Nibbana is the counterpart of deliverance. So when you are getting vimukti, then you have Nibbana. So he asks once again, Nibbana is the counterpart of deliverance. Lady, what is the counterpart of Nibbana? So then she asks, this is very important. He says, friend Vaishakha, you have pushed this line of questioning too far. You were not able to grasp the limit of questions. For the holy life, friend, Vaishakha is grounded upon Nibbana, culminates in Nibbana, ends in Nibbana. If you wish, friend, Vaishakha, go to the Blessed One and ask him about the meaning of this. As the Blessed One explains it to you, so you should remember it. So he said, you have told me, you have asked me something which there is no answer to. So now, if you want, you can go to the Buddha and ask. Then the lay follower Vaishakha, having delighted and rejoiced in the bhikkhunī Dhammadinnā's words, rose from his seat, and after paying homage to her, keeping her on the right, he went to the Blessed One. So he paid adequate respect. Okay, and he was not angry or anything with this answer, but he went to the Buddha and then asked him. After paying homage to him, he sat down at one side and told the Blessed One his entire conversation with the bhikkhunī Dhammadinnā. When he finished speaking, the Blessed One told him, the bhikkhunī Dhammadinnā is wise, Vaishakha. The bhikkhunī Dhammadinnā has great wisdom. If you had asked me the meaning of this, I would have explained it to you in the same way that the bhikkhunī Dhammadinnā has explained it. Such is its meaning, and you should remember it. So he goes and gets a confirmation. One of the things about is that we talked about MM18, where Mahakachana is considered to be the foremost monk to expound the teaching. So Bhikkhunī Dhammadinnā was designated by the Buddha as the foremost among the bhikkhunis about expounding the Buddha's teaching. So if you tell the Buddha's teaching of short teaching, she can elaborate it and give it. So she was an important bhikkhuni in the order. That is what the Blessed One said. The lay follower Vaishakha was satisfied and delighted in the Blessed One's words. Yes.
So